Good morning. It is Thursday morning, about 6:30. I got up about 6. It's been blowing like this most of the night. It's spitting rain at the moment, just little bits. It's supposed to be rainy all day. Not sure how much, according to my wife. Mostly it'll be after 2 o'clock. Well, it should be an adventure, to say the least. More later. Alright, it's 10 minutes after 7, and we're going to start walking. First order of business is to get back up to the main trail. That's probably about 10 minutes to do that. Alright, it's 7:30. It took a few minutes extra because I realized that I'd been using the battery that had been in the camera for more than a full day. So it was due to go any minute. So rather than wait and have it go at pouring rain or something, I preemptively, whatever. I changed the battery. So we got a nice fresh one for today's disaster or adventure. Yeah. So probable change of plans. We're probably only going to go to the next shelter, which is Full Goose Shelter, and then do a longer day on Friday to get out. If I went to Speck Pond, the last day was only a couple hours hike, so that works out. But I don't want to do Mahoosuc Notch in the rain. So the real question is, what are the camping conditions like at Full Goose? So we'll have to see when we get there. That's only 4.4 miles, so I don't have a time estimate. But our next waypoint is the summit of Mount Carlo here, which is only 400 feet up, and 20-30 minutes, somewhere in there. It says there's a fine view of Goose Eye from there, but somehow I doubt it. Well, welcome to the summit of Mount Carlo. It's about 5 of 8. Interestingly, the wind seems to have abated some. Maybe Carlo Cole was kind of channeling the wind. The rain is going to be interesting enough. Not having it mixed with gale winds would be a good thing. So it's about an hour to Goose Eye, up and down. Hope you like the view. Well, good afternoon. It's about 1:15 at the moment. So I've actually been here at the Full Goose Campsite for almost 2 hours. At which point I searched around, picked out a spot for the hammock. I had a cup of tea to warm me up. Since I found this nice spot, I set up the hammock and tarp here. Well, a tent could sit up here, but it's not a really good spot for a tent, so I feel better about not grabbing prime real estate. We haven't had a lot of rain. We've had a little bit. We're in porch mode, and we have the windward doors down. Hopefully the wind direction will remain constant. Maybe you can hear that. So it's been doing that off and on for a while. So we have a long afternoon ahead of us. We're going to deploy the quilts, and and read our Kindle for the most part. We'll probably have a cup of cocoa sometime in the afternoon. That would be pleasant. And eventually we'll have dinner, and then we'll have to read some more. I've got a brand new Jack Reacher novel to start. So that usually is a page turner. All right, it's getting loud. Back more later. It's about 10 after 5 now, and we're going to start making dinner in a minute after I talk your ear off some more. I'm not sure I explained that we're in the wrong place. We were supposed to be at Speck Pond Shelter tonight, which would have been a full day's walking. I'm not sure how long. And, well, I knew from messages from my wife Kim that it was going to be a rainy day today. And we have what's called the hardest mile on the AT, or perhaps the mile that's the most fun, between here and Speck Pond. And I just have to get out to Route 26 tomorrow. And I didn't want to hike that in the rain. And tomorrow was supposed to be a nice day. So I stopped short. I went one shelter instead of two. So I did about a half day, and stayed at here at Full Goose Shelter. So that's where we are. So now instead of getting out before lunch from Speck Pond, it was a really short hike down to Route 26, where you've been before if you followed all my hikes. We're going to have more or less a full day. We'll get down there at 2 or 3, and Kim will find something to pass her time until then. So that's one item on the agenda. The other is you kind of missed dinner the last 2 nights for one reason or another. So 2 nights ago was my first experiment with a dehydrated meal based just on what I think I know about making dehydrated meals. Something called American chop suey, which is kind of like chili mac, except not quite. So it's got macaroni, it's got hamburger, but the sauce is in large part ketchup, and I like this recipe. I used to have it as a kid. If you look it up on the internet, you find that it's pretty popular. So I found a recipe, I made it, I dehydrated it, and then I rehydrated it, and it is not a success. The ketchup-based sauce did not come back. There was this thin, pinkish, watery, not very flavorful sauce. You know, the macaroni and hamburger were fine. So I think to rescue the packages I've got left, I'm going to have to bring some packaged ketchup, restaurant packages, and add those to the rehydrated meal to give it some flavor. But so not everything that seems dehydratable and rehydratable apparently is. And then last night we had a meal you've seen before. Again, if you watch all my videos, on the aborted Kerrigan Hancock Loop hike. It was the tuna fish casserole with the ramen noodles and the packaged tuna fish, being added at the end rather than being packaged as part of the meal. And that was as good as it was before. So tonight we're going to have beef stroganoff, and this is Babelfish 5's recipe, so I have high hopes for it, and it's the recipe that's featured in my video on how I package and repackage dehydrated backpacking meals. So we'll get started heating up some water for that. So here's the meal in its Ziploc bag.
Beef stroganoff. Ingredients: ground beef, onion, garlic, mushroom, peas, egg noodles, sour cream, powder. And we're going to rehydrate this by putting it in a pot, covering it with some water, and bringing the water to a boil, and then letting it sit in the koozie for 20 minutes. So the weight of the meal inside all this packaging is 4.5 ounces. And we'll see how this works out. So there it is. You know, when Babblefish 5 says cover your meal with a half an inch of water and shows himself doing it, it always seems to me he never puts that much water in. But I've done that, so I may have added more water than it should have. But it's on the stove and warming up, so we'll wait for it to boil. So while we're waiting for that to boil, I thought I'd at least mention the weather. It was windy and foggy, and there were bits of sporadic rain, but never any more than that. And the last one of those little showers was quite a while ago, so I'm just getting dripping off the tree here going on at the moment. When I got to the shelter, I checked the temperature then, and it was the high 50s. It's now the low 60s, so it's actually warmed up a little. Occasionally it seems a little brighter. It just now, of course, got dimmer, but and as I said, it's supposed to be good weather tomorrow, so we're going to hope. It's still pretty breezy, and from the looks out there, still foggy, so that stays with us. All right, so we'll be stirring the pot occasionally as it's warming up, and we'll report back on what it looks like at that point. So that is boiled, and everything seems nice and pliable. I think I may have put too much sour cream in here, but we'll reserve judgment on that until after it's fully reconstituted. So into the koozie it goes. 20 minutes later, and this was what we have. It looks good, and it smells good. So I'm going to eat it. Back later. So that is still nice and hot after 20 minutes in the cozy. And it tastes very good. I'm liking this. So this will go into the rotation, most definitely. I've had other meals where the peas, reconstituted a little greener. Doesn't really matter for the taste, probably, but adds to visual appeal. Anyway, and I'd say that the 4 tablespoons of sour cream is going to be the right amount for me. So dinner's done, and the cook gets packed back up. So again, that's an unqualified success. So thanks to Babblefish 5 for that recipe. If you're interested in knowing more about his dehydrated backpacking meals and how you can make them yourself, you can find a link to his YouTube page on my home YouTube page. Just one thing to keep in mind, he generally tries to determine his meal size by measuring volumes of the pre-dehydrated meal. So, so many ounces of, and tries to separate it on the trays and whatnot. And I don't do that. I dehydrate everything all together and then divide up the dehydrated meal, and my aim is for 4 ounces of dehydrated content. That's what seems to work for me. So other than that, I didn't change his recipe at all. So now we have to pack up all of our food-related items and put them in the ear sack, and since there's a bare box, we'll take it up there and deposit it for the night. All right, well, I think that will about wrap it up for today. Fortunately, not as much of an adventure as I was afraid it might be. So the food sack is up in the bear box. The people in the shelter were apparently unaware that I was kind of hiding down here in the overflow area. I just say that I've made a few observations about the thru hikers I've met or camped with on my days on the trail here. They don't seem to be big into ultralight. I mean, they're not carrying gigantic packs, but they're not miniature either. So mine is probably one of the smaller ones, but of course I'm only out for 5 nights. I haven't seen anyone using an alcohol stove. They mostly are using canister stoves. So I find that interesting. These things tend to go in waves or whatnot. It used to be white gas, and then I think alcohol was pretty common for a while. But for some reason, the canister stoves are now the most common, it seems to me. Only one thru hiker that I've seen out here had a hammock. Guy named trail name of Irish, and it was clear why his trail name was Irish as soon as he opened his mouth. But he had a hammock. I'm not sure what kind. Probably the average age is older than I would have expected. Well, I think that'll do it for tonight. That meal did toasty up my toes, which they've been kind of chilly all afternoon. And we'll go back to reading our book, and see you in the morning.